Today I want to talk about a concept that may seem counterintuitive at first, leaving them silently. In a world where we are often taught to make our presence known, to leave a mark with grand gestures and loud actions, there is an underrated power in leaving silently. Not in bitterness, not in anger, but with peace and purpose. Leaving silently is an act that requires wisdom, self-control, and an understanding that not every exit needs to be dramatic or attention-seeking. In a world where people often associate power with loud departures and final statements, choosing to leave gracefully without fanfare can be an even stronger testament to one's character. This quiet departure is not about weakness or avoidance, but about recognizing that true strength often lies in subtlety and restraint. When we talk about a graceful exit, it means making the conscious decision to remove yourself from a situation, relationship, or environment without creating unnecessary drama. There's no storming out, no angry confrontation, and no last-minute effort to justify yourself or your actions to others. Instead, a graceful exit is marked by composure, clarity, and purpose. It shows that you understand when your time in a particular space is over and that you are ready to move on without needing external validation for your decision. Leaving without drama can be misunderstood by those who are accustomed to grand gestures. Our society often celebrates big exits, those who make their departure known, those who leave with a flourish of words or actions. But sometimes these dramatic exits are more about ego than resolution. They are about ensuring that everyone notices, that everyone pays attention, and that the person leaving is remembered in a specific way. While this may feel empowering in the moment, it often creates unnecessary tension and leaves relationships or situations more fractured than they need to be. On the other hand, a graceful exit requires a deeper level of confidence. It requires the belief that you don't need to explain yourself to everyone, that you don't need to have the last word, and that your worth isn't tied to how loud your departure is. When you leave gracefully, you are choosing to prioritize your peace and the peace of others, recognizing that closure doesn't always come from a dramatic ending, but from the quiet understanding that your journey is leading you elsewhere. This kind of exit shows a maturity that few people fully embrace. It's an acknowledgement that life is full of transitions, and not all of them need to be accompanied by fanfare. In fact, some of the most meaningful transitions happen quietly. Think about the changes that occur in nature, the seasons shifting, the tide ebbing and flowing. These are profound changes, yet they happen without noise or spectacle. Similarly, when we leave a situation silently, we are embracing the natural flow of life, understanding that our departure is part of the process, not the end of it. In relationships, especially, a graceful exit can be the most respectful choice. Whether it's a friendship that has run its course, a romantic relationship that is no longer fulfilling, or a professional environment that no longer serves your growth, leaving silently can prevent unnecessary hurt or confrontation. It's easy to feel the temptation to make a grand statement, to call out the ways in which the other party has failed or wronged you, but this often does more harm than good. A dramatic exit in these cases can leave wounds that take far longer to heal. On the other hand, choosing to step away quietly allows both parties the space to reflect and heal in their own time, without the additional burden of harsh words or conflict. Leaving silently also shows respect for the relationship or environment you are exiting. It acknowledges that while your time in that space may be over, it doesn't mean that the time spent there was without value. You can leave a situation with gratitude for the lessons learned and the experiences shared, even if it's no longer the right place for you. In doing so, you honor what was without diminishing it through anger or resentment. This kind of exit leaves the door open for future connections or understanding, should they arise, because you haven't burned bridges in the process of leaving. It's important to note that leaving silently doesn't mean avoiding difficult conversations when they are necessary. Sometimes closure requires a discussion, but even in those moments it's possible to maintain grace. You can express your feelings, set boundaries, or explain your decision without resorting to blame or dramatics. A graceful conversation is one where both parties are heard, where there is room for empathy, even if there isn't complete agreement. It's about seeking understanding rather than victory. Ultimately, a graceful exit is an act of self-respect and self-awareness. It's about knowing when to let go, when to stop fighting for something that no longer serves you, and when to trust that moving forward is the best decision for your growth and well-being. It's understanding that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to walk away not in defeat, but in quiet confidence that your journey is leading you somewhere new. The quietness of a graceful exit is not a sign of weakness or retreat. It's a declaration that you are choosing to prioritize your peace over proving a point. It's recognizing that your value is not tied to how loudly you leave, but in how well you carry yourself as you move forward. It's about leaving people in places better than you found them, even in your absence. And most importantly, it's about trusting that the next chapter in your life is waiting for you, no matter how quietly you turn the page. In the end, leaving silently is an art form, a delicate balance of knowing when to hold on and when to let go, of understanding that your worth doesn't need to be shouted from the rooftops, but can be quietly known within. It's a powerful reminder that not every departure needs to be noticed by everyone. What matters most is that you notice it and that you leave with the kind of grace that only comes from knowing yourself and your path forward. Protecting your inner peace is a vital aspect of living a fulfilling and balanced life, yet it is often overlooked in the hustle of modern existence. In a world that constantly demands more from us, more energy, more attention, more time, it's easy to let our peace of mind slip away. However, guarding this peace is essential for our mental, emotional, and even physical well-being. It's not just about avoiding conflict or stress, it's about creating a personal sanctuary where your thoughts, feelings, and overall sense of self are protected from external turbulence. One of the key ways to protect your inner peace is by setting boundaries. Boundaries are not walls meant to shut people out, but rather guidelines for how you allow others to interact with you. They define what is acceptable and what is not in your relationships, be they personal, professional, or social. Without clear boundaries, you become vulnerable to other people's emotions, problems, and expectations, which can easily erode your peace. Establishing boundaries is a form of self-respect. It says that you value your time, your energy, and your emotional well-being enough to limit how much you give of yourself to others. This doesn't make you selfish, it makes you self-aware. When you don't set boundaries, you invite chaos into your life. You may find yourself constantly drained by the demands of others, always saying yes when you want to say no over time. This leads to resentment, frustration, and burnout. Protecting your peace means learning to say no without guilt. It means recognizing that you don't have to be everything to everyone. By preserving your energy and prioritizing your needs, you become more centered and present for those moments that truly matter. People who value and respect you will understand and appreciate the boundaries you set. Those who don't simply weren't meant to be in your life long term. Another crucial aspect of protecting your inner peace is controlling your reactions to situations beyond your control. We live in an unpredictable world where many things happen outside our sphere of influence. You can't always prevent negative events from occurring, but you can control how you respond to them. Often it's not the situation itself that disturbs our peace, but our reaction to it. When you allow external circumstances to dictate your emotional state, you give away your power. However, when you choose to remain calm, collected, and in control of your reactions, you maintain that power. This doesn't mean that you ignore or suppress your emotions. It's natural to feel anger, sadness, or frustration in response to certain events. The key is not to let those emotions control you. Instead, acknowledge them, process them, and then let them go. By doing so, you ensure that your emotions serve you rather than the other way around. Holding on to anger or frustration, particularly over things you cannot change, is one of the quickest ways to disrupt your inner peace. Learning to release these emotions and focus on what you can control the present moment, your actions, your mindset, keeps you grounded and peaceful in the midst of life's inevitable storms. A significant component of inner peace also comes from choosing the right environment and the right people to surround yourself with. The company you keep plays a major role in your emotional and mental health. Negative, toxic, or draining people can easily sap your energy and disturb your peace. It's important to recognize when certain relationships no longer serve your well-being and to distance yourself from them, even if this is difficult. Removing toxic influences from your life is not an act of cruelty, but an act of self-preservation. It's about valuing your peace of mind enough to walk away from people who consistently bring negativity into your space. Conversely, surrounding yourself with positive, supportive, and uplifting individuals can greatly enhance your inner peace. These are the people who understand and respect your boundaries, who bring joy into your life, and who inspire you to be the best version of yourself. Nurturing these relationships allows you to create a circle of trust and positivity that fosters inner calm and resilience. It's not about isolating yourself from the world, but about being intentional with your connections and ensuring that the energy you give and receive is balanced. Another important element in protecting your inner peace is learning to live in the present moment. Much of our anxiety and stress comes from dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. The mind tends to wander into what was or what could be, often at the expense of what is. Practicing mindfulness, the art of being fully present, helps bring your attention back to the current moment, which is the only time you can truly control. When you focus on the present, you free yourself from the burden of regret or anxiety. You begin to notice the beauty in everyday moments, the peace in just being, and the joy in simplicity. This doesn't mean that you ignore your past or dismiss your future. Both have their place in shaping who you are and where you're going. However, by anchoring yourself in the present, you prevent those times from overwhelming your current sense of peace. You accept that the past is over and cannot be changed, and that the future is uncertain and cannot be predicted. What you have is now, and by making the most of it, you protect your peace. Moreover, practicing self-care is essential to maintaining inner peace. Self-care is more than just physical pampering. It's about caring for your mind, body, and soul in ways that nourish you. This might involve meditation, journaling, spending time in nature, or engaging in activities that bring you joy and relaxation. Self-care also means being kind to yourself, forgiving yourself for mistakes, and not placing unreasonable expectations on your shoulders. When you take care of yourself holistically, you create an inner environment of peace and well-being that is more resilient to external stressors. Finally, protecting your inner peace means being intentional with your thoughts. Your mind is a powerful tool, and what you think about can shape your reality. If you constantly focus on the negative, your life will feel chaotic and stressful. But if you train your mind to focus on the positive, on gratitude, and on solutions rather than problems, you create a sense of peace that is not easily shaken. Positive thinking doesn't mean ignoring life's challenges, but it does mean choosing to focus on what empowers you rather than what drains you. In sum, protecting your inner peace is about creating a personal refuge amidst life's inevitable challenges. It's about setting boundaries, managing your reactions, choosing positive relationships, living in the present, practicing self-care, and cultivating positive thoughts. By doing so, you guard your peace not just as a luxury, but as a necessity for living a balanced, fulfilling, and empowered life. Real transformative growth often happens in silence. It unfolds quietly away from the eyes of the world during moments when no one is watching or applauding. Silent growth is the kind that takes place internally, where the most profound changes occur not in what others see, but in how you perceive yourself, your experiences, and the world around you. When we think about growth, we tend to imagine major milestones, graduating from school, landing a new job, or reaching a goal that we've been working toward for months or even years. These achievements are certainly important, but they are only the outward manifestations of the inner growth that led to them. What many people don't realize is that the most significant part of growth happens long before these visible moments. It happens during quiet nights of self-reflection, during the struggles we endure without telling anyone, and during the periods of doubt and uncertainty when we are forced to dig deep and find strength we didn't know we had. Silent growth is not glamorous, and it's often uncomfortable. It happens when we face our fears, confront our insecurities, and learn to sit with discomfort. It's in those moments of solitude, when we question our path or our worth, that real growth takes root. During these times, we may not feel like we're growing at all. In fact, we may feel stuck, lost, or unsure of ourselves. But it's precisely in these moments of silence and struggle that the seeds of transformation are being sown. Growth isn't always linear or easy to measure, but it is happening all the same. Think about a tree growing in a forest. For years, it remains relatively small, unnoticed among the taller trees. Yet beneath the surface, its roots are spreading wide and deep, anchoring it firmly into the soil. This is the foundation for its eventual growth, but it happens slowly and silently out of sight. Only when the tree has established a strong root system can it begin to grow taller and stronger, eventually towering above the others. This is how human growth works as well. The foundation is laid in the quiet moments of reflection, learning, and perseverance, long before any outward signs of success appear. Often, the most important lessons we learn are those we discover on our own. These lessons come from within, not from external sources. Silent growth is about learning to trust yourself, to listen to your intuition, and to rely on your inner wisdom. It's about developing self-awareness, understanding your strengths and weaknesses, your patterns of behavior, and your emotional triggers. This kind of growth is deeply personal and can only be achieved through introspection. No one else can teach you these lessons, and no one else can see the progress you're making, but that doesn't make it any less real or meaningful. In today's world, where social media and constant connectivity often create the illusion that everyone else is succeeding while we're falling behind, it can be difficult to appreciate the value of silent growth. We are bombarded with images of other people's successes, vacations, promotions, new relationships, and it's easy to feel like our own progress is insignificant in comparison. But silent growth isn't about external validation. It's about the personal evolution that occurs when we stop comparing ourselves to others and start focusing on our own journey. Growth in silence means understanding that your path is unique and that it doesn't have to look like anyone else's. Another aspect of silent growth is the ability to embrace failure and setbacks as part of the process. Growth isn't always about moving forward. Sometimes it's about falling down, learning from the experience, and getting back up again. These moments of failure often happen quietly away from the public eye. We don't broadcast our struggles or our missteps, but they are an essential part of our development. Each time we encounter a challenge, we are presented with an opportunity to grow if we are willing to reflect on the experience and learn from it. Silent growth comes from the resilience we build during these times, even if no one else sees the effort it takes to keep going. One of the most important aspects of growth that happens in silence is the transformation of our mindset. This is the internal shift that occurs when we begin to see the world differently, when we change how we think about ourselves and our potential. It's a shift from fear to confidence, from scarcity to abundance, from doubt to belief. This kind of growth is often invisible to others because it happens in the privacy of our own thoughts. But it's the foundation for everything else we achieve. Without this internal transformation, external success is difficult to sustain. Silent growth is also about patience. In a culture that often celebrates instant gratification and quick results, we can forget that real, lasting growth takes time. It can be frustrating when we don't see immediate progress or when our efforts don't seem to be paying off. But just like the tree with its deep roots, the growth that happens beneath the surface is laying the groundwork for future success. It requires patience and trust in the process. We may not see the results right away, but that doesn't mean the growth isn't happening. Silent growth teaches us to be patient with ourselves and to trust that the effort we are putting in will eventually bear fruit. There's also a certain power in silent growth. When we grow quietly without seeking approval or recognition, we are strengthening our inner resolve. We are not dependent on external validation to feel good about ourselves or our progress. This kind of self-reliance is incredibly empowering. It means that when we do eventually achieve visible success, it's built on a solid foundation of inner strength and self-awareness. We are not swayed by the opinions of others because we know, deep down, the work we've put in to get where we are. Silent growth creates a quiet confidence that doesn't need to be announced or proven. In conclusion, growth happens in silence more often than we realize. It occurs in the quiet moments of reflection, in the struggles we face alone, and in the shifts in mindset that no one else sees. It's not always glamorous and it's rarely celebrated, but it's the most important kind of growth because it lays the foundation for everything else. Silent growth teaches us patience, resilience, and self-reliance. It shows us that progress isn't always visible, but that doesn't make it any less real. When we learn to appreciate the value of silent growth, we begin to understand that the most meaningful changes often happen within, far away from the spotlight. The power of absence is a concept often overlooked in our fast-paced, constantly connected world. We live in a time where presence is equated with importance, where being visible and available is seen as a sign of commitment and relevance. Yet absence holds a unique power of its own, a quiet, often unspoken influence that can shape relationships, dynamics, and perceptions in profound ways. Absence, when used intentionally, has the ability to create space for reflection, change, and a deeper understanding of one's own value. When we think of absence, we often associate it with loss or emptiness, but absence can be a tool for growth and insight. In relationships, both personal and professional, absence allows for a recalibration of the dynamics at play. It gives people time and space to reflect on what is often taken for granted in the presence of another. When someone is always available, their presence may start to blend into the background, becoming part of the everyday landscape, and their contributions might not be fully appreciated. However, when that person steps away, whether physically, emotionally, or in terms of availability, their absence can highlight their importance in ways that constant presence cannot. Absence can create a sense of longing or awareness that was previously obscured by routine or familiarity. In romantic relationships, for instance, being apart can serve as a reminder of the qualities that are most valued in a partner. It forces individuals to confront how much they rely on and appreciate their partner's presence. The saying, "absence makes the heart grow fonder," holds truth in the sense that being apart allows space for reflection on what someone truly brings into your life. But in the silence of their absence, their presence is felt more deeply because it highlights what is missing when they are not around. This space can rekindle affection, appreciation, and a renewed sense of connection when the individuals come back together. In the professional realm, absence can also wield considerable power. Often when someone is consistently available, whether it's a colleague, a leader, or a team member, their contributions may not always be recognized as significant. However, when that person steps back, either temporarily or permanently, their absence creates a noticeable gap. This absence often brings to light the full extent of their influence, work, and the value they added to the environment. It forces others to realize just how much that individual contributed and often leads to a deeper appreciation of their role. This phenomenon can sometimes result in a greater sense of respect or acknowledgement, which might not have been as evident during their constant presence. Moreover, absence can foster independence and self-reliance, both in personal growth and in the dynamics of relationships. When someone steps away, those left behind are often forced to adapt, learn new skills, or take on responsibilities they might have previously relied on the absent individual to handle. This can lead to the development of new strengths and capabilities. For example, in relationships where one partner is always available to provide emotional support or problem solving, the other partner may become dependent on them. However, when that partner is absent for a period, it gives the other individual the opportunity to navigate challenges on their own, fostering independence and self-growth. The power of absence also lies in the boundaries it sets. Constant presence can sometimes lead to a blurring of boundaries where one person's time and energy are continually demanded without consideration for their own needs. By stepping away, individuals create a clear boundary that signals the importance of their own well-being and the need for space. This absence can serve as a powerful reminder that their time and attention are valuable and that they are not endlessly available to others. It teaches others to respect their boundaries and can lead to healthier, more balanced relationships where personal space and autonomy are honored. Furthermore, absence encourages reflection not just for others, but for oneself. In the act of stepping back, we create space for introspection, for reassessing our goals, desires, and needs. Constant engagement with the world, with people, and with the demands of life can sometimes cloud our judgment, leaving little room for self-awareness. However, in moments of absence, when we remove ourselves from the noise of daily life, we gain clarity. This space allows for deeper thinking, for realigning with our values, and for deciding how we want to move forward. It's in these moments of solitude that we often discover our most important truths, because we are no longer distracted by the external demands that usually occupy our attention. Absence can also have a profound effect on others' behavior and attitudes. When someone who is usually present withdraws, it can cause those around them to reflect on their own actions and behavior. This is particularly true in situations where there may have been conflict or tension. Rather than engaging in prolonged discussions or confrontations, sometimes stepping away can send a stronger message. In the absence of immediate resolution or attention, individuals are often left to consider their role in the situation and how they might change their approach. Absence in this way can act as a catalyst for growth and change in others, prompting them to reflect on their own behavior in the context of the relationship. It's important to note that the power of absence is not about abandonment or neglect. Rather, it is about intentional withdrawal, stepping back in order to create space for reflection, growth, and renewed appreciation. Absence, when used wisely, is a tool for fostering deeper understanding and for highlighting the value of presence. It is a reminder that sometimes the most powerful influence is not in what we do or say, but in the space we leave behind. In a world that often equates busyness and constant presence with importance, absence serves as a counterbalance. It reminds us that sometimes stepping away is necessary for true growth, both for ourselves and for those around us. It teaches us the value of boundaries, the importance of self-reflection, and the unique influence that can come from being missed. Absence has the power to reset dynamics, create a sense of longing, and inspire growth, proving that what is not seen can be just as impactful as what is. Ultimately, the power of absence is its ability to foster a deeper understanding of value both in ourselves and in others. It creates space for appreciation, growth, and reflection, all of which are essential for meaningful relationships and personal evolution. Absence is not a void, it is a space filled with potential where the most profound changes often take place. In the silence of absence, we find the opportunity to grow, to reflect, and to appreciate what truly matters.